If there's one natural disaster that no one watching this video would ever wish to live through, it would have to be a tsunami, as seen in 2004 and once again in 2011. The sheer scale of destruction brought by these catastrophes is beyond comprehension. Cities and coastal towns that had stood untouched for decades were swept away in a matter of minutes with little warning. They remain among the most terrifying forces of nature. Yet, throughout history, there have been a handful of tsunamis, so enormous. They are almost unimaginable waves that towered like skyscrapers and obliterated everything before them. From America to Japan, these are the 5 tallest tsunamis ever recorded in history. If you enjoy this video, make sure to subscribe to Epic Disasters for more just like it. Mega tsunami. Typically, tsunamis are formed by massive undersea earthquakes displacing vast quantities of water. Yet, believe it or not, there's another type of tsunami that isn't connected to earthquakes or other common geological processes. This is called a mega tsunami, and it happens when a sudden surge of material enters a body of water, forcing an extreme displacement. More often than not, such waves occur from sudden landslides or collapsing icebergs. But there was one moment in Earth's history where a mega tsunami not only took place, it altered the course of the entire planet. Around 66 million years ago, a colossal asteroid estimated between 6.8 and 50.3 miles wide struck what is now the Yucatan Peninsula, leaving behind the Chicxulub impact crater. The force of the impact generated a mega tsunami more than 100 meters high, unlike anything ever seen since. The wave was so massive and fast that some scientists believe it may have surged as far inland as Chicago, Montana, or even parts of Canada. But in this case, the water wasn't the most destructive element. An asteroid of that size was enough to wipe out countless species across the globe. Striking the ocean was no different than striking solid land. The resulting impact triggered a worldwide chain reaction, altering climates, plunging Earth into an ice age. Mount Unsen, Japan ranks as one of the most geologically active regions on Earth, situated on the edges of 3 tectonic plates within the infamous Ring of Fire. The country is dotted with active volcanoes. Among them, Mount Unsen, a volcanic cluster made of several overlapping stratovolcanoes near Shimabara, Nagasaki, on Kyushu, Japan's southernmost main island. The volcano has remained active in modern times, last awakening in 1990 after centuries of dormancy. A year later, in 1991, a violent eruption unleashed pyroclastic flows that killed 43 people. However, Mount Unsen is most infamous for the destruction it unleashed in 1792, that year. After a series of earthquakes shook the region, one of its lava domes collapsed into the sea, sparking a devastating mega tsunami that killed more than 14,000 people, still remembered as Japan's worst volcanic disaster. What made this event even deadlier was the way the wave traveled. First, it struck the Higo province on the far side of Ariake Bay, then rebounded and smashed back into Shimabara. Reports suggest the wave reached 330 feet, or 100 meters, tall, powerful enough to surge miles inland and erase everything in its path. Out of the total fatalities, about 5,000 were killed by the landslide, another 5,000 by the wave crossing the bay, and the remainder when the tsunami returned. Few natural disasters in recorded history demonstrate such overwhelming destructive power as this event. Asterisk, Mount St. Helens Spirit Lake when it comes to geological catastrophes. Few rival the destruction caused by the 1980 eruption of Mount St. Helens. It remains the largest terrestrial landslide in recorded history. It's the product of a volatile volcano and a uniquely violent eruption. The most defining event was the collapse of the mountain's northern slope, which unleashed a massive pyroclastic flow. Yet this collapse produced another calamity that often goes overlooked. As the side of the volcano fell, it thundered directly into nearby Spirit Lake. The massive wall of rock and earth crashed into the water, displacing it with explosive force. The result was a gigantic inland tsunami that reached 860 feet, or 260 meters, above the lake's surface. The lake itself nearly doubled in size, expanding from 1,300 acres to around 2,200 acres. Inland tsunamis are among the rarest natural disasters, but this one proved devastating. The enormous surge of water swept across the area, flattening trees and destroying anything in its path. Still, despite its size and speed, the wave was eventually overshadowed by the fiery clouds of ash that followed. The combination of water and volcanic debris created catastrophic mud flows, choking rivers and leaving behind a thick sludge that took months to harden. Over time, Spirit Lake refilled to a stable level of about 3,406 feet, where it is closely monitored today. But it took more than 20 years for the area to recover from the devastation. Vajont Dam disaster as Spirit Lake showed. Inland tsunamis spelled doom for anyone in their path. But this was not the first time such destruction was recorded. 17 years earlier, in northern Italy, another inland tsunami wreaked havoc. About 100 kilometers north of Venice, following World War II. Italy embarked on a series of massive construction projects, one of which was the Vajont Dam, a hydroelectric dam near Monte Toc. From the start, warnings circulated that the mountain above was unstable. Local residents reported tremors and frequent landslides during construction. Despite the warnings, engineers pressed ahead. As a safety measure, they even lowered the water level in the reservoir. But this decision would prove catastrophic. On October 9, 1963, a massive landslide tore down Monte Toc, sending millions of tons of rock and earth crashing into the reservoir below. The impact displaced so much water that a wave surged 250 meters above the dam before sweeping through the valley. Every village downstream was obliterated. The blast of displaced air alone was said to be stronger than an atomic bomb. Survivor. Accounts were scarce. Most who lived in the direct path perished. Roughly 80% of the residents in villages along the valley floor were killed, with around 350 families wiped out entirely. Later investigations concluded that the lowering of the water level combined with heavy rainfall destabilized the already fragile mountain, ultimately leading to the collapse. Literally abates difficult to even imagine tsunamis as tall as those already described. Reaching hundreds of feet, they dwarf even football fields in scale. But could a wave ever rise beyond that, into the thousands of feet? Many scientists once doubted it was possible. However, the world's largest recorded tsunami proved otherwise. On a calm July evening in 1958, in Alaska's remote Lituya Bay, a massive earthquake shook the region. The tremor triggered around 30.6 million cubic meters of rock to plunge 3,000 feet into Gilbert's Inlet. The impact displaced a torrent of water that shot skyward and formed the largest tsunami in history. This monster wave reached an astonishing 1,720 feet, about 520 meters tall. As it roared through the fjord, it stripped the slopes bare, uprooting millions of trees and sweeping away everything in its path. Amazingly, the human toll was small, only 5 lives lost because of the area's sparse population. But the event highlighted how deadly landslide-triggered tsunamis can be, especially when so much land breaks free from such an enormous height. Nothing since has come close to matching its scale. Tsunamis have long been known as one of Earth's most destructive forces, but now we've seen the true scale they can reach. Whether triggered by earthquakes, volcanoes, or landslides, they stand as some of the deadliest natural disasters ever recorded. If you enjoyed this video and would like to watch another just like it, be sure to click the link on screen now. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.